All right, Corey, so apologies for getting this video out late. Wanted to compare your swing to Mookie Betts' swing. I know your dad has talked about before how y'all are very, very similar play style, so I wanted to compare y'all's swings. So let's take a look real quick. I'm going to play them both simultaneously, and then we're going to take a look at both of them together. Okay, so first and foremost, and this is what I'm trying to really teach you here, so let's talk about the back leg here. I want you to take a look at what Mookie's doing, right? So Mookie, like we're talking about, he gets to this point here, and notice how his weight, if I were to draw a line right here, his weight never goes back past that line, right? He always keeps it in almost like this 45-degree angle right here, right? So this is kind of what I was talking to you today about, like whenever we are in our load stance, and this is our load stance right here, right? Whenever we get into this load stance, our goal is to be able to build up enough tension that once we get here, we have to keep going forward, right? Now, let's take a look real quick at your back leg here, okay? So if I were to draw a line, actually, that's probably not a good line there. Let me redo that real quick. If I were to draw a line right here, right, that is perpendicular with you, and if I were to fast forward it, you see how you put your weight past that back line right there? Instead, what we want to do is kind of like how Mookie has it. We want to keep this leg where it is right now, right? That's kind of what I was trying to talk to you about in our lesson today, and kind of go over the fact was that we want to keep in this locked position right here. Right here, we should keep this leg. If I were to freeze frame this, I would want to keep this leg right there in that angle and have your front leg still here, right? So that's kind of what I mean there. Another thing, and I want you to notice this too, so there's our back leg, right? So then we get to our hands right here. And at first, if you remember, you would throw your hands out like that, right? Versus, watch what your hands are doing now. I want you to compare yours to Mookie Betts real quick. So notice how both of y'all keep your hands in the exact same position, right? Same position, and then when you get into this drive phase of your stance, or rather not your stance, but more so the drive phase of your swing, you keep your hands there for as long as possible and have almost like this rubber bandish type of momentum towards home plate, right? Because we built up all this tension by keeping them back when our body is going forward, right? Let me see if I can draw this arrow. When our bodies are going forward. Same thing, vice versa. If I were to take a look at Mookie, right, his body's going to be going forward, but his hands are staying in this exact place right here. So that's the purpose of kind of what we were talking about today, is we want to keep our hands back as much as possible. And kind of with that drill, when we're in kind of our block position, as I talked about, where we want to keep our hands back as much as physically possible so that, number one, we could trust our hands whenever we're going through our swing, but number two, also being able to go about our swing and have that rubber band effect to our swing. It's having tension. A lot of, while we want to be loose in baseball and where we want to be able to put as much momentum and power into our swing, that comes from a little bit of tension as well. So we get to this point here. Then I want to compare, right? I want to compare our follow-through, right? Or rather, our point of contact here, right? So notice you have this almost L shape, and so does Mookie, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at. And then also this straight leg here, straight leg here. If I were to have had Mookie's foot up a little bit, you would notice very similar to what your foot is. It's a little bit closed off, which is giving you a better anchor, is what I like to call it, into our swing. Because the one thing we don't want to do is raise this foot up or have it open, or even so, like have it extremely closed off, right? We don't want that. Kind of this is a great fall through. And what I was talking about too, your end of your swing is so great, and your body and how you finish is spectacular. Now, I will say the one thing I do notice here is, look at Mookie. Mookie's upper torso, as I'm going to clear everything here. So watch his upper torso, right? Stays through the baseball there, has a little bit of recoil. Versus, if we look at yours right here, you have just a little bit of recoil after your swing. Now, that's nothing to be concerned about because obviously it comes from your age still. And, the older you get, the more powerful you get, the stronger you get, the less that recoil is going to be. And that also comes from core strength as well. So the main two things I really want to work on for you. One thing, obviously, I want to keep working on our hands. But the main thing that I really want to work on is this back leg here. And hopefully this kind of helps you understand a little bit better what I'm trying to get you to do. Is keep in this 45-degree angle right here, like how Mookie does. And he doesn't go past this line right here, right? He just keeps at a neutral position and goes forward while building momentum. Versus, if I were to draw a line right here, right, you go all the way past it towards this way, right? So this is kind of what I was discussing with you about, how we're going 2 steps back to take 1 step forward, if that makes any sense. The one thing I kind of want to experiment with you, and we could do this tomorrow during your lesson, along with that back foot, kind of want to see if we can kind of work on your toe tap a little bit. And the reason I say that is because, obviously, the older we get and the faster pitches we're going to see, and especially you going into high school next year, I like the toe tap. I like the idea of the toe tap. However, if we were to do the toe tap, and this is my personal opinion, a different instructor and a different coach might have a different opinion than me, and that's perfectly fine. And also, if this feels the most comfortable for you, if you feel like you make the best contact with it, if you feel like you can time the pitcher as best you can with this approach, then by all means, I want to stick with this approach. But I would definitely like to kind of see tomorrow, whenever we do front toss, how this differentiates and how it plays out. Because I'm wondering if it's a little bit different when you're hitting live in games and off, getting soft toss, rather than just on the tee where you can kind of time it as you please. So just kind of recap here one more time before I end the video. So obviously we want to keep working on our hands here. We want to make sure that we have that rubber band effect whenever we're hitting, and we want to keep our hands there rather than throwing them out first thing and having almost like this outside to inside swing, versus you're doing a great job on this right now. But then the main concern is working on this, working on this back knee here. So that's kind of what I got for you today. And we'll work on it a little bit tomorrow, and we'll talk about this also. Don't think that, I'm just going to give you this video and we're not going to go over it. We're going to go over it and I want you to come up with some questions and start to ask the why whenever we do these, and ask the why of okay, well, what's the purpose of that? Go into a little bit of a deeper analysis into that, because that's also going to help you. The older you get and the better that you get and the stronger that you get, it's going to start to help you, number one, understand your body, but also number two, like we talked about, the very first thing we talked about today is coming in with a purpose, right? So that's what I got for you, Korey. Hope you liked the video. Again, if you got any questions for me tomorrow regarding this video, just let me know.